You ever feel like no matter how much you train, grind, or chase success, something still feels off? You're still stuck in the same spot, and the reason being is because you're playing with level 1 energy. Today, I'm going to cover the basics of the 3 levels that makes a man go from lost to being magnetic. The most important thing to begin with is to understand the 3 levels to make this as simple as possible. At the start, you've got the man that's lost. In the middle, you've got the man that's recovering, and then at the end, you've got the man that's become magnetic. Now, I'm going to cover the basics of each one of these levels so you can understand exactly where you're at and how to actually move into that next level. The most obvious and the first level where most men are stuck in is being lost. So many men these days are addicted. They're addicted to scrolling, they're addicted to porn, they're addicted to escaping. Basically, they've been programmed where anything externally is in control of their own mindset. Constantly overreactive, scrolling on their phones, they're constantly overstimulated, and they're getting absolutely nowhere. The most scariest phase of this level is not even having the awareness that you are actually lost. The only way out and up from here is admitting that you're lost and being honest with yourself. As a man, it's very easy to be ego defensive and straight away turn around and think, no, I'm not lost. For those people that feel like that, they're the ones that are stuck forever. You need to come to a point where you wake up and you understand that you are stuck in a rut. There's got to be a better way of doing things. Me personally, I was in this lost phase for at least 3 to 4 years, constantly overreactive, addicted to things, and just didn't really know a better way out. Now, thanks to the internet, I saw a lot of people out there living amazing lives and doing great things. And I knew that I needed to change my belief system because I thought if there was someone out there living a much better life than I was, then they were obviously thinking in a different way. And at the end of the day, I thought if that person has 2 arms, 2 legs, and a brain and a heart, and they're living that life, then why can't I? So this is the first and the most important step. If you are lost, is actually admitting that you're lost and not having any shame in it, because there is a way out and you can make a change. Now, some practical ways of how to identify if you're lost. I mean, it's quite easy. Focus on the simple habits that take away most of man's attention. You've either got porn, you've got junk food, you've got constant scrolling, you're completely lazy, you don't go to the gym or anything like that. Constantly lazy, you're scrolling, or otherwise you're going out every weekend, drinking, taking drugs. It's very obvious. Usually there's going to be one habit for a man that's going to really be pulling him down. Now, usually when there is one bad habit that is pulling the man down, it's going to be surrounded by a number of other bad habits. Now, this is the first phase, is basically having the awareness of understanding why you're lost and what's actually holding you back. You need to understand that you are not your bad habits, okay? You're actually separate from them and you can change them by replacing them with one good habit at a time. Once we're in the lost phase and we admit that we are completely lost, habits do have a better hold of us, it actually gives us the room to move into the recovering phase. We cannot move from lost to recovering until we admit this, lose the shame, and actually start taking action towards what we want. When we're in the recovering phase, this is when we're simply building. We're cutting the habits, we're replacing them with good habits, and we're going after what we want. For instance, you might be wanting to quit porn, so you're actually stopping to watch that so you can reignite the flame with your current relationship. Otherwise, you're lazy and you're trying to stop being lazy, so you're going to the gym and you're trying to form that habit of physical exercise every day. So the recovering phase is when we've identified the habits that were making us a lost man, but now we're continuing to try and actually grow and become this better version of ourselves. Because at the end of the day, we all want to become that magnetic man that's calm, confident, and present. The man that every other man respects and the man that all the women admire. Now, the vicious cycle with this is basically a man will go from being lost, they will try to get onto the recovering phase, and they might get about 4 or 5 days in, a week or 2 weeks in, and then they slip out and then they come back to the lost phase. So this right here is the vicious cycle. This is where the man just gets stuck in and they're just constantly looping. They end up feeling so shit about themselves all their lives that there's enough pain, they want to make a change. They try to get into some type of program, or they watch some inspirational reel and then they take action, but then they fall back into the same traps. and they end up being lost again until they try and recover again and then be lost again and then recover and so forth. Only 1% of men will actually make it towards the magnetic level. Now, if you're about to listen to what I'm about to say, it's going to make a lot of sense, and this is going to be the easiest and the most simple way to understand of how you can reach this final man of being the magnetic man, where all the other men respect and all the women admire. You want to understand first and foremost, when you are going into the recovery phase, it's going to take you at least 2 months to form solid concrete habits. This is the first thing. Considering 90% of men, when they do go into this phase, they quit after 1 or 2 weeks. Basically having the awareness at the start that you are going to want to quit after that first week or 2 weeks, becoming the best version of yourself is going to put you 20 steps ahead. Understand that. Understand that from day one, in about 1 to 2 weeks, you're going to have huge resistance and everything's going to try and start to pull you back to who you once was. The easiest way to get past this stage and to stay in the recovery stage before we become magnetic is simply just repeating these small habits day after day. Now, another big reason as to why people really get caught in this vicious cycle is they set goals too high, or they don't set any goals at all. You absolutely want to set goals, but you want to make sure that those goals are achievable. For instance, say you're 120 kilos and you want to weigh 80 kilos within 1 month. Okay, great goal, fantastic. Good on you for being ambitious, but it's probably a little bit unrealistic. Now, if you get about 2 weeks in and you're only 5 to 10 kgs down, you're soon going to have low self-esteem and you're going to just fall back into that trap of thinking that you are this person that deserves to be overweight and lost. The biggest secret to this is just improving 1% each day and being in it for the long haul. I was someone that also got excited by big goals and trying to achieve them way too quickly, and it just led to me just feeling frustrated with myself, having low self-esteem, knowing that I never reached those goals that I once set for myself. The secret to this is when you're going from the loss to recovery phase is to set small goals, because when you achieve these goals, you're not only going to feel much better about yourself, but you're going to develop a much better relationship with yourself where you trust yourself and you know that what you set your mind to, you can do. The recovery phase might actually happen for 1 to 5 to 10 years. It's not something that you're just going to move from recovery to magnetic straight away, because you're going to build bit by bit. For instance, if the gym is your issue and you're overweight, you're going to go into the recovery phase, and then before you know it, maybe you've got that magnetic body. Maybe you're now shredded and you are 70, 80 kilos full of muscle from 120 kilos. That's great. You've achieved the physical physique and you probably do feel 50,000 times better, but you're probably still missing some major components, which is understanding how to be present, understanding how to be grounded, how to be a master communicator. There's all these aspects of what makes a man magnetic. It's not just one thing. You see some guys that have a fantastic body, or they may not have a good looking girlfriend, or they're not getting any attention from women, and that's because they just do not know how to communicate. So in order to become the magnetic man, there is things that we need to cultivate to become good at. The good news is you don't need to become the very best at one thing. You can become good at all these basic things, which will make you extremely magnetic. If you can form the discipline of just exercising for 40 minutes each day, Monday to Friday, then there's a good chance you're gonna have your health in check. However, nutrition is about 70% of that. So if you've got the health in check, now you need to get the nutrition in check and form the discipline with eating good foods as well. They go hand in hand and they're both completely separate, but they tie into the same thing. Once you've got the health aspect down, which is a very big part of it, that comes with also being ambitious and understanding what you actually want to achieve with your life. Every woman values a man with a mission. Now, the most important thing before any of this is to understand your why. A lot of people forget this part out, and this is also a reason why people go from recovering to loss, because they don't figure out their why. This took me years to understand. I didn't have a clear why for a very, very long time, and it kept me just repeating this same vicious cycle. For instance, now my why is purely to have the ultimate freedom and to be able to look after my future family with less stress as possible, and to give ourselves the best life that we can have. That is my why. My question for you is, what is your why? Take a few minutes, pause the video, and start to really think about what is it that you want from this life, because this is going to help you go from the phase of being lost to recovering to magnetic. The good news to all of this is it starts off really difficult. It starts off thinking that your future self is so far away from you. And I know for me, once I was in this phase, it just took so long to get moving because I thought the man that I wanted to be was just so far out. It was unachievable, it was unattainable, and it just was not possible for me. The good news is once you get into the recovery phase and for about 6 months, you're forming these habits and these disciplines, you will then soon start to realize that you will become the man that you wanted to be way quicker than you thought. And you will eventually notice that within about 6 months, you might even achieve of who you wanted to be. And then next minute, the vision for your next self will come in and you will realize that there's way bigger levels to achieve. The hardest part is getting started. When you get started and you get into this recovery phase, I'm telling you right now, it will feel so damn good that it will get so addictive to become this best version of yourself, that become that magnetic man. This part is difficult. Once you get into the recovering phase, you've been there for 60 days, you will start to enjoy life so much more. You'll start to feel extremely positive towards your relationships, towards your mission, and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Now, when you're in that phase, it is a very good place to be because you are naturally going to become magnetic. You enjoy your day-to-day, you enjoy what you're doing, and you enjoy building yourself. The only thing that you can change in this world is yourself. Also, the only thing that you've got control of is yourself. You cannot control anything outside of you. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control how your family speaks to you, how your wife speaks to you, or so forth. The only thing that you can control is you and your mindset and the way that you respond to things. One very powerful thing that a mentor told me one time is do not react, respond. Now, what's the difference between reacting and responding? Reacting is just simply mental activity that's going past unchecked. Responding is when you're actually taking time to think on how you're going to respond to that situation. When you become less reactive and you start responding, you're going to be much more in control. This is the most clear and simple and easy way that I can break down the 3 levels of manhood, going from lost to recovering to magnetic. If you're someone that is struggling, you're in the lost phase, or you're even in the recovery phase and you just can't get past the magnetic, hit the link below, book a call, and I'll absolutely be able to help you out. The best part to this is there's a group of men that are in the community where we're all holding one another accountable. Because the ultimate way to fail at this is by trying to do it alone. When you're surrounded by winners, you will also become a winner.